Hi friends, good day. In the last class we have taken few examples of a transaction where how to record two aspects we have seen. Am I right? That I told you while concluding the last class, last session, I have explained you that in every transaction there are minimum two accounts, and sometimes in a transaction you may have even more than two accounts also. You may have more than two accounts, minimum two accounts, more than two accounts, but I have told you aspects are two only: receiving aspect, receiver; giving aspect, giver. Now today's class I am in continuation of that. Recording of both aspects of a transaction, both aspects of a transaction, that is receiving or receiver. In future we will be using the term debit. I'll explain what is debit later on. Recording both aspects of transaction, that is receiving or receiver, is called as debit, and giving, giver, in future it is called as credit. Recording both aspects of transaction, that is receiving, receiver, and giving, giver, that is nothing but debit and credit, is known as double entry is known as double entry system. I repeat once again, recording both aspects of a transaction, that is receiving or receiver and giving, giver, is known as a double entry system. Is this clear? So today you are learning about what is double entry system. To understand better, double entry system this is a scientific system. This is a scientific system developed by Luca Pacioli. Who is a Italian. This is a scientific system developed by Luca Pacioli. Is a Italian. Now we will be calling as Italino, is Italian. So the double entry system is scientific system. It is around 1484. There is a difference of opinion on here. I am not mentioning, is irrelevant also. In the year 1484, if I am not wrong, this system has been introduced. And I have told you, even 10th century, the accounting is having root from right from 10th century. And even we people say Ardhashastra written by Chanakya or Kautilya. is also one of the source for today's public administration and economics, auditing, accounting, so many subjects you can give. Okay, so I think this letter is a history, but I think the system has been developed by one Mr. Luca Pacioli, who is Italian. Okay, and the term debit, I told you, has come the word debitio. The term debit has come from the word debitio, and credit has come from credito. The term debit has come from the word debitio, and credit has come from creditio. These are the terms used by Luca Fra. Actually, I have given simple word Luca Fra Pacioli in his books. So whatever so far we have seen, that in every transaction there are two aspects, is a system developed by Luca Pacioli. We have used the word this is a scientific system. Scientific system is simple logic. It should be fair, my dear friends. Simple, it is fair, and that should be proved. Is science no anything which can be proved, which is having universal phenomena that can be taken as a science? It can be scientifically proved. Yes. When you, what is the scientifically proved? When you go to a shop, you buy a book, you are giving 20 rupees, getting back 20 rupees worth of book. So that means the debit, now I can say the debit is equal to credit, receiving aspect is equal to giver. Simple logic. I think that is the logic. That is why it is being called as scientific system developed. Okay. Then there is also one more thing. As I told you, every debit must be equal to credit. This is another point. Debit must be always equal to credit. Is this clear? I think I told you, double entry system recording both aspects of a transaction, that is receiving aspect or debit, and giving aspect, giving or giver aspect is credit, is known as double entry system. This is a scientific system developed by Luca Pacioli, who is Italian. The term debitio has come from the word debitio, and credit has come from creditio. These are terms used by Luca Fra Pacioli in his book. Full name. Every debit must be equal to credit. Okay. And I think we can also science students will understand it better if I compare like this. We can also compare this with Newton's third law. We can also compare this with Newton's third law. What is that, my dear friend? To every action, there is always an equal and opposite reaction. Equal and opposite reaction. To every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. To every action there is always an equal and opposite reaction. This is what Newton third law. No? Every action there is equal opposite reaction. I told you 20 rupees you have paid. Equal action, opposite reaction, 20 rupees book they are giving. So it is double entry system is being compared with Newton's third law. Are you following? So somebody is going to ask you how you are going to record a transaction. You should say by following double entry system. What is that you should say? By following double entry system. I have told you already. Recording both aspects of transaction is known as double entry system. Okay, now let us see what are the advantages. Let me see what are the advantages. Advantages of double entry system. What are the advantages of double entry system? Let us see. Let us see. What happened? The accuracy of trial balance. We will be learning that. I am giving you briefly. Recording is called as general. Posting is called as ledger. Then next one is called as trial balance. Final accounts. So general, ledger, trial balance, final account. This is sequence. First the general is called as recording. Ledger is called as classifying. Trial balance is to check the accuracy. You will be learning that these things. First you should record in your whatever I am explaining, simple logic. Generally when you go to next level, higher level, people will carry only one notebook. In that one notebook you keep on recording all the subjects, like degree going students. Of course you people are different. In intermediate or CA accounts you are having separate books. But generally what you do, if you are going for any degree classes, instead of carrying so many notebooks, you want to take one notebook. During our days we used to do the same thing. We used to carry one notebook or one or two textbooks, and there we used to record, and after coming back to the house we used to subject wise allocation, like accounts one book, economics one book, statistics another book, mathematics and like that. We used to have a different books later on. So I think similarly recording is the first step. You record it, then it will be taken to appropriate heading. That is what is called as ledger. We discuss that later on. It's too early to discuss. So whether the recording is correct, ledger is correct or not, that means debit aspect is equal to credit or not, can be known through trial balance. For the time being, just remember it is called as trial balance. Why it is called as trial and balance, we discuss that later on. Then final account. Final accounts is nothing but final result. Think this is the logic. Is called as accounting cycle. Whatever I explained is called as accounting cycle or accounting process, that I will be explaining again later on, not now. Is this clear? So that means the first important point is accuracy of accounts can be known, that is by preparing trial balance. That means if journal is going wrong, ledger goes wrong. Ledger goes wrong, trial balance goes wrong. Trial balance goes wrong, final accounts goes wrong. That is why, which is important, accuracy of accounts is to be known. Is this clear? So that is advantage. It facilitates the accuracy of ledger accounts through trial balance. Is this clear? Ledger accounts are correct or not? It will be known through which one? Trial balance. So first step of recording is general. Second step is ledger. Third step is trial balance. Fourth step is called as final account. So I think before you go to final account, trial balance is like your pre-final examination. Your shortcomings will be known through pre-final examination. Similarly, trial balance will check the accuracy of account, that you will be learning. That is possible because of double entry system. Next, it facilitates the ascertainment of the ascertainment of financial position. I'll admit financial performance, then I'll write position. First, by financial performance. Performance, the next point we can write. Next, we can add position. Performance is nothing but, see, you say, what is your performance? Your father will be asking after writing the examination. Can you tell me your performance? Performance is in the form of progress report, progress card. What is that, sir? Result. Financial performance is nothing but a result of a business. This is final accounts, I told you. After trial balance, next is final account, result of a business. That will be, result is nothing but, I told you, result of a business means profit or loss. Profit or loss slash. You can know profit or loss. Then it facilitates ascertainment of financial position. This is what is called as balance sheet. You'll be learning later on. So my dear friends, result, balance sheet, the second and third point is what is called as It is called as final accounts. Okay, it is called as final accounts, which is called as financial performance, result of a business, profit or loss. Financial position, what business was bought, what business owns. Owns means liability, owns means assets. What are the assets of business, what are the liabilities of business can be known through through double entry system. So these are the advantages. Last advantage is that it facilitates comparability of financial statement. What is comparability of financial statements, sir? Comparability means 1 year performance with another performance. That is comparing comparing 1 year performance with comparing 1 year with another year result, comparing 1 year with result with another year result, etc. This is what is called as, it facilitates comparability of financial statements, because last year what was my performance, this year what is my performance. Most of you might have compared yourself, what was my last unit test examination marks, what is this unit test examination marks, is there an improvement or not. Similarly, this is another advantage. So we have learned today what is double entry system, who has invented double entry system, then what are the advantages of double entry system. This is completed. Now today, this is so far whatever you have learned. With this knowledge we can go for recording of a transaction, but I think you should learn a systematic manner, no, the scientific manner, no, the logic or reason we have learned already. In every transaction there are two aspects. Excuse me. In every transaction I told you there are two aspects. Those two aspects we have learned, we got the logic for that, but I think we should learn in a system developed under double entry system. How? To record these transactions, accounts have been classified. Okay, to record transactions, account have been classified. Now that is what we are learning. See, I think I'll be telling you for recording the business transaction, the book called General. We'll be learning that general later on. What is general? First, today's class in the emphasis on how to classify it. To recording the transactions, for recording the business transaction, the book, in the books, for recording that business transaction in the books, it is called as general. Let me change the sentence a bit. For recording the business in the books of For recording the business transaction, the general, what is the name of the book? General. The book where you record all the transactions. For recording the business transaction, the general, the accounts have been okay. For recording the business transactions general, the accounts have been classified into the following. What is that, sir? This is important point. See, what is it I have told you? For recording the business transaction, the general, the accounts have been classified into the following. There are two approaches for recording a transaction. Those approaches are: 1. Traditional approach. What is the name of approach? Tell me. Traditional approach. We got first approach called as traditional approach. What is traditional approach, sir? The traditional approach says that the accounts have been classified into category of personal, real, nominal. Is this clear? The accounts have been classified into personal, real and nominal. So traditional approach. Then second approach is called as accounting equation approach, or it is also called as modern approach. You can see from here. For recording the business transaction general, the accounting has been classified into following. There are two aspects for recording a transaction, double entry system. Traditional approach, accounting equation approach, or it is called as modern approach. Now let us see So, classification of accounts under traditional approach we are seeing the first today. Accounts are classified like this. Personal account. Personal account, impersonal account. This impersonal account has been classified into two types: real accounts and nominal accounts. Tell me, personal accounts, impersonal accounts. Impersonal accounts have been classified into real accounts and nominal accounts. These real accounts Nominal accounts is about properties, expenses, income. Personal accounts is about individuals, firms, institutions. Come on, tell me. Personal accounts is about individuals, firms, institutions, companies. Impersonal accounts, real. Properties are, say, assets of the business. Nominal account, income and expenses. Come on, tell me. Today we are discussing about traditional accounting equation approach. We can later on. We are not in a hurry to learn this. For the time being, today we are focusing, and most importantly, you should be focusing only on this approach. While writing the examination, they will be asking entries also. Generally, they will be asking you write entry. General means by default we are following which approach? Traditional approach. Is this clear to all of you? Now, let us see personal account first. Examples I take. Now, personal accounts, the meaning is these accounts relate to natural persons, artificial persons, and representative persons. These accounts relate to natural persons, artificial persons, and representative persons. Now, here I am giving the example of a natural persons. All human beings. Example. All human beings are natural persons. All human beings, you and me, anybody like Ram, Krishna, Salim, Joseph, Lalita, Kumari, etc. They all comes under the category of natural persons. B. Artificial persons. Artificial persons created by law. Examples: firm, company, bank, educational institutions. Champs is a artificial person. Sangameshwar sir is a natural person. Nandakishore, natural person, like that. Firm, company, bank, educational institutions, universities, chamber of commerce, cooperative societies, okay, cooperative societies, ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accounts India. We can take these all are artificial persons created by law. They all comes under the category of personal accounts only. But personal accounts has been classified into natural, artificial person, and then representative personal. What is representative personal? For expenses and incomes, we have seen the definition of periodical payments, expense, periodical receipts is income. For expenses and income, if you prefix or suffix a word, it becomes representative personal. It becomes representative personal account. It becomes representative personal account. For example, income, expenses, for example, for expenses and incomes, if you prefix or suffix a word, it becomes representative personal. You know that expenses, it can be salary, anything. You prefix outstanding. Outstanding expense like salaries. You take what is expense or salaries. For employees, you need to pay salaries. No, it becomes outstanding expenses is nothing but outstanding salary. What is outstanding, sir? Due. The meaning of outstanding is due. Due means to be paid. Outstanding, due, or to be paid. Generally, we use the word who will be standing in front of our door. Outstanding. You take example, paper bill, water bill, electricity bill, domestic servant, they will be standing in front of our door. Sir, salary. Outstanding, same, standing means pending, amount to be paid. Now salary is expense, no? Simple logic. Salary, anybody will understand that. We have seen periodical payment, month-wise payment is an expense. For rendering services by employees, you need to pay salaries to them. So salary is an expense. But you are prefixing, what is that you are prefixing? Outstanding. Sir, what is outstanding? Say, generally, in India, we are having a system where previous month salary will be paid in the current month. Suppose this is July. In the first week of July, I will be getting the salary of June. July salary I will be getting in the month of August. There is always 1 month delay. It is called as outstanding. So now this, how it becomes personal? It is expense, no sir. See, we have already seen that these accounts relate to natural persons, artificial here, sorry. Normal accounts, income and expenses. Here we have seen impersonal, income and expense. So income and expense, I am talking about expense, no. This expense, I think this is clear to all of you. This is expense. Income and expense. Now this expense, but we are treating expense as a representative personal. Why? I'll give a small example to explain this. See, here I am giving example. how outstanding salary is a personal account. Representative. Representative personal account. How outstanding salary is a representative personal account. So there are 10 employees, 1 lakh rupees. O by S means outstanding salary for December month. Now look at this. This outstanding salary account is representing amount due to group of 10 employees. This outstanding salary account is representing amount due to group of employees. That is why it is called as representative. That means this outstanding salary is representing that amount is due to natural persons. Amount is due to natural persons. Are you following? Amount is due to natural persons. So I have taken one example. Outstanding expenses. Similarly, prepaid expenses. We'll discuss. I can't explain everything here. In future we discuss about prepaid expense. For the time being, remember expense prefix prepaid. Represent personal. Outstanding income. Income yet to be received. So income nominal, but you are prefixing outstanding, it becomes representative. Prepaid. Next month expense you are paid. You say prepaid mobile phone connection. 1 month before you are charging top up. You say top up. You say prepaid. With these things detail we will be learning at appropriate stage. Too early to discuss these things. Fourth, income received in advance. Next month or next year income you have received. So from whom you have received? From a person, that is natural person. Expense you have paid to insurance company, one year insurance or telephone authority, they are artificial person. You have made a payment advance to artificial person. So this amount is representing personal account, like that. So come on, you can sum up this. Outstanding expense, prepaid expense, outstanding income, income received in advance. These are the examples of representative personal account. So we have seen today we have learned so far, tell me, we have learned about under classification of accounts, traditional approach. What is traditional approach, sir? Personal account. Personal accounts, individual firms, institutions, companies. Impersonal accounts, impersonal account, real account and nominal accounts. I think today's class so far I have explained these things. So let me complete today's class, it's today itself, by taking few examples of real account. Now, so I have explained already which account here, personal account. Let me take you to second one. These accounts related to the tangible or intangible real assets. Tangible means which we can see, intangible means which we cannot see or we cannot feel. Here I am writing intangible assets. Intangible assets. Sorry, let me start with tangible first. Tangible assets. Let me start with tangible first. Tangible assets means here which are fixed. Fixed means which is having long term advantage. Long tangible assets which are fixed means which are having long term advantage. Example, land and building, plant, plant which is being used, machinery which is being used in manufacturing activity, then furniture, then vehicles, land and building, plant and machinery, furniture, vehicle. Then leasehold property, you taken property on lease. Leasehold property. Office equipment, like sometimes computer, typewriter, cash counting machine, they all comes under the exact category of tangible assets. Now here, then intangible. The meaning of intangible is that these assets can't be seen. But you can feel the benefit. Okay, is called as intangible. Example, goodwill. We'll be discussing in detail about goodwill. Goodwill is nothing but name, fame or reputation of an organization. Name, fame or reputation of an organization is called as goodwill. Then next, after goodwill, we say trademarks. Like you see, Charms label, or you can see Tata product, Godrej. These two examples can be taken as trademarks. I think we say brand. How you recognize? If somebody want to duplicate it, you put one more A, Tata. You won't be looking. It looks like a Tata product. Godrej. Godrej furniture, Godrej refrigerator, Godrej AC, anything you can see, you'll be having the same sticker is being fixed on that trademark. Charms is a trademark. I think that through the trademark, people will be attracted. Okay, then next, I'm talking about copyrights. Like you see, telecast rights we talk about. What is telecast rights? Whenever a tournament, World Cup tournament or any cricket matches that is being telecasted on the news channels, on sports channel, you see that copyrights are reserved with Star TV or copyrights are reserved with BCCI. Nowadays, you might have seen some content in the YouTube has been said copyrights issues. You can't see. Previously, you can see those videos which has been released under copyright. Unless you buy that copyright, you cannot see. There are in some cases free download you talk about, or whenever a music cassette has been launched, the copyrights are with T series or Aditya series. And why? Any new movie you see, their TV rights, telecast rights are exclusively with Ma TV, Z TV, etc. R Star Gold, Star Movies. That means watch exclusively. That means no other channel is having. Now when they are releasing the movie nowadays, that selling the copyrights or on your ICA material you will be having copyrights are reserved with author, publisher, nobody can copy. I think this is also intangible asset because it is fetching some income. Somebody is using my trademark, somebody is using my copyright, somebody is using my reputation. It is a gain to us because we are getting some income on that. So copyrights. Patents, you know, patents are inventions. Somebody is inventing. Now we are saving COVID-19 vaccine. Trials are going on. After invention of that, they say the patents are with us. Nobody can use it. If somebody wants to use the formula, you need to make a payment. It's called as patents. Patents are about inventions. And software licenses now. Software license also you have to buy, or you have to download from official website of the particular software company. Software licenses. I think these all are the example of tangible assets and intangible assets. Few more things we discuss later on. Similarly, we also can learn cash. This comes under current assets. Cash in hand, cash at bank, closing inventory. Inventory is nothing but stock, unsold. I think these are the examples I have given. This will come under current assets. And sometimes we'll be having some investment. Short term investments. Investments, you are investing in the shares, mutual funds, company shares, company debentures will be learning. This can be taken as current assets. I think few examples I have given for, tell me, tangible assets, intangible fixed assets, current assets. Okay, now here I want to give you 2 points. We'll be learning that in the next class, actually, that is in the coming classes later on. Sundry debtors. We'll be learning, just you remember this, those for learning for the first time, no need to panic. Debtors I have already explained, only new word you are learning, bills receivable. We discuss that later on. Sundry debtors, bills receivable. Even though they are current assets, sundry debtors, bills receivable, even though they are current assets, but classified as personal account. What is current asset? The amount that is going to be received is within period of 12 months is called as current asset. What is current asset? Tell me. The amount which is to be received within period of 12 months is current asset. The asset which is the benefit is more than 1 year is called as fixed asset. The benefit which is more than 12 months is called as fixed asset. Sundry debtors, bills receivable, even though they are current assets but classified as personal accounts. Is this clear? So today we have learned about personal account, real account. Now let me take you to nominal account. And here I want to add one more thing. Purchases, sales, even though even though they are related to expense and income. As per ICAI study material, it is being considered as real account. Okay. Purchases, sales, even though they are related to expenses, income, as per ICAI material, it is considered real account. It is considered as real account. We discuss why in the coming days. So many things will be repeating again and again. Everything I can't explain in the beginning because I have been used the term basics. Okay, so today we have seen about real accounts. Okay, then next, last one, nominal accounts. Nominal account. These accounts related to expense, losses, this account related to expense, losses and income and gains. Income and gains. Examples. Let me take expenses, rent paid, interest paid, loan taken, you have to pay interest, property taken on hire, rent paid, interest paid, commission paid, wages paid, few examples I have given. Income. Here expense I have given losses, like loss on sale of asset. I think this can be given as losses. Income and gains. Rent paid opposite rent received. Interest received. Rent received, interest received, commission received. Okay, I think few more examples we can take later on. Rent received, interest received, commission received. And gain, profit on sale of asset is a gain. Few more things we'll be learning in the due course of time. So I think with this, today I have completed the classification of accounts into personal, real, nominal account. This comes under double entry system. This comes under which approach? Traditional approach. And then we need to discuss about accounting equation, modern approach. That means recording of the transactions can be done by traditional approach or accounting equation approach. But my dear friends, without learning these approaches also, we have already learned by, if you understand receiving aspect, receiver, giving aspect, giver, first aspect is debit, second aspect is credit. No need to learn all those things. So then why you are teaching? You may ask me, why you are teaching? In the examination, you need to have a clarity, because true or false statements may be there. If you don't know which system you are learning, people will laugh at you. Why you are not learned? What is that sir has taught you? But I think the ultimate outcome you'll be knowing about it. I think for beginners you need to be bit careful, bit watchful. Listen to this class again and again if you want, till you get clarification. So today, for recording transaction double entry system, we are having how many approaches? 2 approaches: traditional approach and accounting equation approach, or it is called as modern approach. First I have started today with classification of traditional approach. Personal accounts. Personal accounts is individual firms, institutions, companies. Impersonal accounts, real, nominal. Personal accounts again classified into natural persons, artificial, representative. That example I have given. Then we went for real account. Real account can be tangible fixed assets, intangible fixed assets. And then third I have given current asset. What are the items to be taken into current assets, etc. I have already explained. Okay, with this I am concluding today's session. I hope you all are following this. In the next class we learn about how to and then we learn about the classification of accounts under accounting equation approach. Then we can go for next classes how to record in the coming classes. Maybe in 2 classes time I'll be completing the basics. Then we'll be into the main chapter called as general. By the time the material will be provided to you, the problems from where we are going to work out, PDF will be sent to you so that you can see, and then those problems we keep on practicing. Okay, so I'm concluding the day. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.